People are like icebergs. We have far more to us than we see at first glance. But many people are content to judge others and themselves by just looking at the tip of the iceberg.
Wolftelligence!
Welcome back to the podcast. My name is R.E. On this episode, I discuss looking at the tip of the iceberg, and I believe an iceberg is a great analogy to basically looking at anything or anyone or life in general. And it all comes down to we think that we know everything about somebody or something just by looking at the surface, just by looking at the tip. But that is just 1%, maybe even less of everything that this person has going on, that this thing has going on, and there is far more than you can ever imagine below the surface. We judge others by only looking at their tip, by only looking at the surface of their iceberg. We don't really question or even believe that they have far more depth to them than we can ever imagine. We judge ourselves by only looking at our surface, and we don't really want to know what's under there. We don't really want to see what's under there because that's the really deep stuff, the deep-seated emotions, and we're scared. We're scared of this vulnerability, and we don't want to take the time, we don't want to take the effort, and we don't want to take the energy to find out about other people, what's under their surface, and ourselves, what's under our surface, really going on a self-discovery, personal development, self-love journey. So we only look at the tip, the surface, and make judgments, make opinions, make assumptions about everything else because that's easier for us, that's less time consuming, we don't have to take our energy. And things on the surface, on the tip, could be things such as physical appearance, the clothes you wear, things that you can see easily at first glance without looking at anything else. And I invite you now to start to dig deep, start to look under the surface, start to really dig beneath the surface and see what you can find. And become more curious. Start to learn about yourself. Start to learn about others. Start to want to learn about others more. I mean, you're not going to learn more about yourself if you don't really care to learn. And that might seem very obvious, but if you're content by always just looking at the tip of the iceberg for yourself and other people, you're never going to have any desire to dig deep. And I know that this was like me. I used to not want to dig deep at all. I was afraid of what I would find. And when you dig deep, you're going to have to get past those surface level emotions, the fear, the negative emotions, the anxiety. But once you get past those emotions, every single person, I guarantee, has basically this depth, which is the self-love, the inner peace, the bliss. Start to get to your core. Look past the tip, start to dig deep, get to your core, get to your root, get to your foundation. And on the other side, start to get to others' roots, start to get to others' foundations, start to have deeper conversations. Ask them more personal questions. Ask them questions so you can really get to know who they are, not just the mask that they portray. Get to know who they really are below the surface. And that's it for today's episode. Looking at the tip of the iceberg, you can only see a fraction of this person, of this thing in life by looking at the tip. I invite you to dig deep and start to go below the surface and find out who you really are. Find out who they really are.